Maybe grades aren't the entire problem. Social media, parental expectations, college costs, competition for internships, graduate school admissions, and the belief that your entire future depends on being perfect could all be contributing.
Bring it on!
Welcome to Girls Gone Gritty. I'm Farley Boyle, girl mom.
And I'm Jennifer Brenius, boy mom.
Together, we're Team Boyle-Brenius. Each other's ride
or die. This is where grit gets real. We don't just talk, we do it.
We're here for the messy stories, the hard-fought lessons, and the courage it takes to keep showing up.
Especially when it's uncomfortable. We bring gratitude and attitude to everything we do.
We jump in head first, unafraid, and are all in all the time.
We bring it on and get it on, diving into unscripted conversations on just about everything.
We don't just talk grit, we live it.
We put the it in grit.
So let's get gritty.
Hi, and welcome to Girls Gone Gritty. I'm in Bring It On Studios with my co-host, Jen Brenius. And today we are going to talk about, are colleges canceling failure? I don't know where you weigh in on that, but hopefully you'll walk away with a strong opinion after our conversation today. Before we tackle that, we are going to talk about some top threes and one that might have you replacing your coffee in the morning.
Number 3, don't be afraid of the bone broth breakfast. It's better for you than your coffee or your tea, possibly.
I'm obsessed with having something warm. I'm not even an iced coffee person in the middle of summer. I like a nice coffee, but I genuinely like something warm in the morning. So I'm going to give this a try. After looking into it, the bone broth breakfast is good for several things. It's a big biohack. It repairs your gut lining and fuels your cells. It primes your digestive tract, stabilizes blood sugar, soothes the nervous system, delivers sustained energy jitter-free, enhances intermittent fasting, regulates sleep cycles, and it rehydrates the body. That's a no-brainer. Why have we not been doing this for years?
I feel like a lot of people do it when they're on a recovery from something. You always hear about somebody needing bone broth, suffering from an ailment or a sickness that's prescribed. It makes sense. There's a lot of nutrients in bones. That's where the beginning of all cells are in a human and any other animal species. So it makes sense that it would be very healthy for you. I know that my coffee, I've given up during the week because by the time I make it the way I'd like it, it's probably 700-800 calories between the chocolate syrup, the milk, and everything else. So bone broth seems like it would be a really good way to give yourself a boost without the calories and the downsides.
I've been giving it to Moose now for months. You would think that maybe I would have thought it was good for me too, because when Katherine Heigls, who does Badlands Ranch for the dog food that I've been using, suggested bone broth in the morning with Pibbles, I should have looked into it for me. I know when my mom was diagnosed with cancer, they told me to replace any type of broth with bone broth for her because it had more minerals, vitamins, nutrients, collagen, and everything else. So I used it for all my soups and for the base of a lot of things that I would saute. So that's our tip of the day.
Where do you find it? I don't think it's that easy to find.
Well, it is. You can go to any grocery store and they have it in a box. I just don't know if that's the one that you want to do.
That's what I mean.
They have organic bone broth in boxes. I'm going to do a deep dive. I reached out to a friend this morning who does everything to the best level possible. She's the one that got me on celery juice. And when I tabled this Brodo bone broth, she has definitely done her research. BRODO bone broth.
We're going to check that out. Okay, good. And number 2, this one's not so great. Postpartum psychosis is on trial right now. Will moms come to her defense? Personally, I know I won't. I do not diminish anything when it comes to what people dealing with having babies and the challenges that are there. But this story,
I don't know if you guys are following the Lindsay Clancy story. If you aren't, don't. But it seems to be everywhere. Back in 2023, she strangled all 3 of her children. She had a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and an 8-month-old. And she's in trial now. Today is technically day 13. So by the time you listen, it'll be a week from now. And she broke down yesterday in the courtroom because the medical examiner was talking about all the injuries that were sustained. And she couldn't handle it. She couldn't listen to it. Quick backstory, definitely postpartum, sought the help from many medical professions. She was on 13 different types of drugs, antidepressant, anti-anxiety, drugs within the 4 months leading up to this tragic event. She is claiming, this is the newest development in the case, that she heard a command hallucination by a male voice telling her to do it. Kill the children, because that way you can kill yourself afterwards and they won't be left on this planet without you. And she thought that they would suffer more if she wasn't involved. And she proceeded to cut herself and jump out a window. And now she's paralyzed and showing up in the courtroom in her wheelchair.
It's awful.
It doesn't make sense, but the question is, did the mental health system fail her family? Did she genuinely go to these doctors with insomnia, severe depression, intrusive thoughts, and suicidal thinking, and no one took her seriously? Apparently, she called the police department 40 times saying, I need help. I'm going to do something. It's a really terrible story, but it happens. And the postpartum thing is a real situation, but can it be the defense's way out?
Well, do you want it to be? I don't know what the difference is between
legal insanity and postpartum.
Well, and also, like, what's the outcome? She's going to live with this for the rest of her life. And now she understands what happened. Is it time that took her to figure out that she's wrong? Is it being incarcerated? Is it her husband being remarried?
Well,
I mean, there's a lot of other things at play.
Well, her hormones are probably back in normal fashion because she had her last child 3 years ago. And on top of it, they were saying that she was mixing meds in a very short amount of time. She wasn't on 13 different types of medication when she did it, but in a 4-month stretch, she switched different medications, tallying 13 varieties.
Sure.
And I know people that have bipolar issues. If you switch their medication, that's when you are concerned of what the fallout would be. Mental health meds are a big deal.
They are a big deal. And this is for debate. And where I lean on this is at what point do you have accountability? Because no matter what you do when you're under the influence of something, or if you've got a mental health situation or sickness or illness, at some point we have to be held responsible.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, everybody who takes a life is insane.
Yeah.
Every single person.
And insanity doesn't mean that you're not insane. Like, who wants that person walking on the streets if they're insane?
Ugh.
Because if they go into a facility, they come out eventually and then they're still insane. You can't fix insane unless it's temporary insanity because of a hormonal imbalance coupled with a lot of medications or bipolar disorder but I don't think that eliminates the crimes that you committed while you're in that mind frame, unfortunately.
I completely agree. Well, being in a completely different mind frame.
Wow.
Number one, damn, I feel like a woman. 3 NBA stars who are now declaring for the WNBA draft.
I don't understand this. I really don't. Didn't we just get through the fact that men cannot participate in women's sports? Didn't we just have a bill passed? Wasn't it declared? Why is the WNBA having a hard time defining what a woman is? They cannot define biologically what a woman is. So now you have these 3 former pro NBA players that are declaring that they're women to make a mockery of this ridiculous situation.
You can define at any point, decide today I'm a male or a female and use it to my advantage. This is where when we blur lines on things, it gets very hard to participate in life.
I identify as a cat. I want to marry a wall.
Yeah.
I thought we were done with all this bullshit.
We're not, because they're just kicking the can down the road because they want to keep getting attention. There's no bad press. So by not making a decision and keeping people engaged and having a debate is keeping eyes on the prize.
It might be a little theatrics.
It might be.
I think if the World Aquatics, the World Athletics Organization, the UCI, these are global sports bodies, are talking about biological eligibility standards that can't be refuted, why are we looking like a Jerry Springer show again?
Because it sells seats, because it sells clicks.
I could
Let's be
understand
honest.
if it was Dennis Rodman trying to reincarnate his profile by putting mascara on and doing crazy things. He might be bi and whatever. But this is outrageous.
I just love the fact that these guys are throwing their hats in the ring. Like, wait a minute, I think I'd like to try out for the WNBA because I'd be really good at it. I did well in the NBA, and I'm going to be a female next year.
It'd be hysterical if they showed up in a Tootsie.
Oh my
outfit,
God. A wig
and
lipstick and
so bad.
wow. Talking about changing the rules and leveling the playing field and making everything equitable. What are these elite colleges doing? So recently, if you didn't see, the University of Michigan, which is always in the top 5 of public universities across the country, recently went to incoming freshman first semester being a pass fail, no credit situation.
It's not actually happening until 2027.
They announced it this year for 2027. So it just came out that they're going to do this.
LSA, it's the literature,
Yes,
sciences, and arts.
College.
So it's 3 different sectors.
Yeah.
It's LSA.
And they're following the footsteps of other elite colleges that I didn't have that awareness on. I didn't recognize that places like Cal Poly and
Wellesley,
and there's a full list of schools that already do this. And some of them are major specific. Some of them are the entire school. But, I'm not sure exactly how I feel.
it's a cancel culture continuing on. This was a very upsetting quote that I read. The reason that Michigan is doing this is they claim that it promotes collaboration versus competition. Collaboration versus competition. What does that mean? You are working your butt off all through high school to get the grades that would allow you to be taken seriously, to get into an accredited college or university like this. And now you're there with like-minded students. Don't you want to be competitive with people that are going to elevate your game academically? Let's say you're a 3-sport athlete and you've got incredible grades and you made it to the University of Michigan and you're playing a sport there. And there's a lot of other people that are playing a sport and balancing their academics. But your freshman year, you can take your foot off the gas pedal. You're going to know your grades. The professor still tells you what your grades are. And you will technically know what your GPA would be, but it doesn't matter because it's pass or no credit. It doesn't show up on your transcript. And for the people that are crushing it, the people that are working their butts off or naturally have this aptitude to be Excelsior and they're at a high GPA, they don't benefit from their hard work. They don't benefit because we want to collaborate versus be competitive.
Here's the reality. If you think about who these kids are, and we'll just stay with Michigan for the moment, they're all the highest performing students in their high school. Part of it, I think, is they're so used to being at the top of the food chain and being able to do and be anything they want compared to their peers. And now they've been put into a peer pool where they're with everybody that's the same as them. They're just as smart, just as educated, have access to the tools, tips, and way of learning that their peers have. You've gotten yourself into a highly competitive place, and now you're not going to compete. I don't understand that mentality.
All I know is I went to college. It was the first time I didn't have my parents breathing down my neck because I'm an only child. Everything was under a magnifying glass. And I got an academic scholarship to not only play a sport, but to maintain a 3.5 or north of a 3.5 to keep academic money. I had never been below a 3.5. So to me, it wasn't even something I was scared of. But now you're balancing your time and playing a sport. And I'm having some freedom that I've never experienced before. And I'm in charge of me. And my GPA, my freshman year, was a 3.2. And I got put on academic probation. And I was terrified because that would mean I would lose a big chunk of money if I didn't get my GPA up to at least above a 3.5. So think about it, a 3.2. I had to get like a 3.8, 3.9 to bring my GPA back to a 3.5. And that scared me. And my parents were disappointed in me. I was disappointed in me. And it made me prioritize. It made me establish boundaries. And I had to hold myself accountable. And I learned a valuable lesson from that.
Well, and the scholarship held you accountable, which is a great opportunity where people have that threshold that either parents or athletics put on you. Some people don't have that threshold. A 3.0 is what my parents expected. They were like, you have to have a 3.0. If you don't have a 3.0 each semester, we're not paying for it. So if you don't have those kind of bases, and now we've come away on the college level, where does that leave kids with aspiration once they get it? If they get there and they feel like it doesn't really matter how well I do in this class, I just have to pass it. Why would you work for the A? Why would you push yourself? And here's the problem that I have with it is that, are you teaching kids how to integrate into that community if you're not teaching them that they need to do their best? To me, pass fail means, oh, well, I only need a 70. That's not getting yourself into a groove on how you to balance your day, how to study in the library, how to take on a class, how to show up for the class and get to know your professor. There's all these skills that I think are being eroded But here's the question that I have when I look at these elite schools that are doing it. Maybe I'm missing something.
Well, I'm going to take the flip side of the coin. One of the things that they're saying, instead of you just taking all of your basic classes that you have to sign on for, your prerequisites, instead of freshmen coming in and taking their prerequisites, they can actually dabble into something more strenuous, a little more academic, and not be terrified, and can hit some of those core courses out right out of the gates to see if they really like their major or if they want to go in that direction and not be stressed. So that was one of the arguments. The other argument is that this mental health pressure is real. You're moving into a place where you don't know everybody, you're acclimating, and you don't have your core friend group yet. You're nervous about leaving home for the first time. You're far away from what you've known your whole life. They're taking that pressure into consideration as well. And when you first come into a school trying to rush, going into the Greek system, I like that schools first semester of a freshman year don't have rush, where everybody's kind of on the same playing field. You're living in a dorm, you're meeting people. It's not like you've been dirty rushed before you're getting there and you automatically have all these interviews and functions that you have to go to that define who you are immediately. And if you're lucky enough, you're in our sorority, you're in our fraternity. But what about those kids that don't match with their top three, don't find a group? And that's the beginning phase of their freshman college experience. There are a lot of stumbling blocks, and maybe that more academic institution recognizes that some of those kids aren't as social, and maybe there isn't Greek life, and they're just trying to take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I agree with it.
I just don't understand it at 18, 19 years old when these kids are coming to college. And a lot of the athletes have done PG years and they're actually 20. They've been in school for a really long time, taking tests and being in unique social situations their whole life. And now all of a sudden we're going to take them and bring them to college and say, it doesn't matter this first semester. We're going to give you a little bit of a hall pass. I think that the leveling of the playing fields in so many ways and giving so many accommodations, that's really what it is. Giving another accommodation is saying, well, this is really hard. And we know it's really hard. So we're not going to grade you your first semester. And you mentioned fraternity and sorority life. I was talking to a friend who actually is a junior at Michigan, Teddy Riddle. He was saying that he doesn't like the pass-fail for the incoming freshmen because they're not going to change the rush strategy. And what it did was it gave the kids that were rushing or pledging a fraternity permission to be academic. If all of a sudden everybody's like, well, it's pass fail, you don't really have to go to that class. Now you have more opportunity for even athletics to say, we're going to work you harder on the field. We're going to work you harder in the fraternity or sorority house. We're going to work you harder socially because school doesn't really matter right now.
Listen, well, a bad grade teaches you something.
Agreed.
Let's be real. And the grit part is you bomb a midterm and now you're terrified because you know that that could bring your GPA down and maybe you're not going to get that coveted internship. It holds you accountable. And if you disappoint your parents, that's another thing. If you suddenly change the way that you study because you're recognizing you're not doing enough. It's really like your formative college experience where you're figuring out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and you're establishing a routine on how you're going to prevail academically. And now they're also saying if we continually soften the consequences for young people, when exactly are they supposed to learn how to deal with failure?
This is the same culture that everybody got a trophy. So this just continued into their adulthood for all intents and purposes, where you had to make accommodations for different learning abilities and give people more time to take the SAT. None of those things existed when we were growing up. A pass-fail class, you chose to move to a pass-fail in college when you were not doing well in a class.
Right.
And you didn't want to not get credit for it. You were like, okay, I'll move to pass-fail because it's going to kill my GPA. But if I move to pass-fail, I'll at least get credit for the class and be able to say I took the class. So it'll move to my transcript, but it won't kill me. It won't help me. It won't help me either. But
well, now they're saying that there's grade inflation. And they're saying that there's more A's being given out.
Oh, 1,000%.
And that the hard schools, the Stanfords, Harvards, Browns, they're giving more A's liberally. What does that mean?
When I've gone through all the college application process and watched and gone to many graduations, and you look at the kids that are the cum laude, summa cum laude, magna cum laude in both high school and college, the number of kids that stand up for those accolades, I can tell you, just visually watching the number, everybody's got an accolade. You're in such a minority now if you're not at least cum laude. If you're not graduating
True.
with just the basic cum laude, it's like, well, what did you do during college? That wasn't the way it was when I went to school.
No.
When you were academically superior, it was noticeable and different. And I do think that there's gradeflation.
Well, they're saying if students are experiencing unprecedented academic anxiety at the same time that A's are becoming more common, what exactly is going on? Maybe grades aren't the entire problem. Social media, parental expectations, college costs, competition for internships, graduate school admissions, and the belief that your entire future depends on being perfect could all be contributing.
Yeah. Well, that perfectionism is what is at the root of what we're really getting to here. They want the kids to come in. They want them to feel good. They want the experience to be incredible and perfect and everything that their heart could possibly desire, because they're at this elite school that is an Instagram moment that everybody wants to be at. And that's not why they're there. If you are at a school like Michigan, and we're just going to stay with them because they came out with the news, you decided to go to one of the best public universities in a cold place. The campus is supposedly beautiful. I've never been there. I know you have.
Well, on that note, I am an Ohio State Buckeye now, and I purposely chose my outfit today because we were going to be talking about the school up north, and Ann Arbor is a whore. But Michigan is a coveted school. It's a beautiful campus. We play them. We're Big Ten rivals. And I was surprised when I saw the headlines because it felt so not Michigan.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. It's like counterproductive to everything that that school stands for, which is competition and being with like-minded top tick players that are going to continue to be competitive because they want to graduate and have the best job and be at the top of everything, top of the food chain.
Yeah. And there's a huge parental influence and looking at mental health and making that transition okay. But I also realize that education is a business. And if they're looking at modeling themselves against other elite schools and they have data that reflects that this is better for their top performers to be in this environment, I think it's going to be a test for other public institutions that are wanting to follow in the footsteps of these other elite schools.
And I think there's a lot of institutions that have been doing it all along, but you also are applying there knowing that that's the way they handle the freshman semester. It's not a surprise like Wellesley. This is just something that they've done. So
right. They're very liberal though.
Yes. But if you're a liberal minded person and that is attractive to you, then you're going to go in that direction. I think our problem with it is grit is learning that you can fail and you can recover and keep going. So are we helping this generation become more resilient, or are we accidentally taking away their opportunities to discover that they already are?
Well, and we said this last week too. It's what makes us human is the imperfections.
Yes.
It's the story of the college kid who failed out of MIT or didn't get into Caltech or whatever it is. And they rose through the adversity of that and got in someplace else. And now they're the CEO or a huge nonprofit or somebody who gives back to the community. And they've created a story around that disappointment and failure. And we are creating such a safety net for this society in many ways, but then expecting so much of them. It makes no sense to me. You can't expect somebody to have a story when you curate every last moment.
I learned such a valuable lesson. It shaped who I became as a student. I was terrified. I was disappointed in myself. I had to hold myself accountable. I had to elevate because I didn't want to disappoint my parents. I knew I was much more capable of being a better student. I was being lazy. I was partying. I was experiencing freedom, but this is all normal.
Yes.
This is all normal. And this is why I grew, because I elevated my game and recognized I could do it all, but I had to have balance. And if we're just laying up everything for these kids in a soft way that's warm and fuzzy, boy, are they in for a rude awakening when they graduate and in the real world.
Well, here's the other reality. Places like Michigan and most schools in this country, we're very fortunate. If you're sending your kid to even a 2-year college, there are guardrails. There are systems in place that are meant to help them as they navigate this new and unique place. It's not like you're just sending them out into the Serengeti to figure it out with a knife. We are making such a issue out of a first world problem of getting the opportunity to go to a school. Is that really such a complicated situation? And if it is, great, identify it, give them the tools, give them the opportunity, give them the tutoring if they need.
Listen, school isn't for everybody. Some people might feel the pressure cooker and say, I can't do it.
Right.
And I want to be out. And now they're not wasting their parents' valuable dollar because it wasn't meant for them. It's almost this wonderful test.
Yeah.
It's an experiment. How is your kid going to handle the pressures of their freshman year? Are they going to figure it out quickly? Are they going to make mistakes? Are they going to rebound from their mistakes? Are they going to drop out? It gives them the chance to do them.
Yes.
And that's what we need to see more of. And grit and resilience go hand in hand. And we are Girls Gone Gritty.
We are. And that is a gritty conversation that you need to have with your child before they go off to school in the next couple of weeks, and make sure that they're prepared. If you're an incoming freshman, then you have that infrastructure, because most of you will not be in a place where it's pass fail. And I think that's a positive. If you are at a place where it's pass fail, because they do exist, then tune in too, because when you don't have those guardrails or parameters or those benchmarks, then kids can get lost.
Agreed.
And if you have too much idle time, I know this about myself, I end up wasting a tremendous amount of time. I end up getting myself into trouble as a kid.
Time management is part of college. You've got to learn the balancing act, and you can do it all if you figure out what works for you, what you can handle, and what you can't.
Yep. But as always, it starts with a conversation.
Sure does.
Starts with knowing what your tolerances are, what your understandings are, and having the wherewithal to sit down and talk it out.
Agreed.
So that's what I'm trying to do. Have that resilience and grit.
We're going to go to our Got Grit Award winners, plural. And I can guarantee you that the majority of these people went to college and had to fight to get where they are today.
We're always trying to find unique Got Grit Award winners. And if you've been paying attention, they can be an idea, an individual, group. And this happens to be a group of incredibly resilient and innovative human beings. They are the White House Press Corps.
Wow.
They have to always be on their toes, because they're in a unique situation where they have to make the president of the United States, whoever that is, their friend, but yet ask on behalf of the American people the tough questions. Their responsibilities are to ask questions of the president and the senior officials, hold the administration accountable, report on the inside nuances of the presidency, serve as the public eyes and ears of all of us. They are independent reporting during any kind of crises. They are on 365 days a year, weekends and holidays. They came to my attention because they also have presidential travel that they have to go on. And if you were paying attention recently, they had a really scary situation that happened in Turkey where they had to scuttle President Trump off of Air Force One. They basically took him off the airplane, put him in a catering truck, and Air Force One served as a decoy when they thought there was this credible Iranian threat. Many senior officials in the White House were on board as well, but the entire press corps that travels with him at that time was on this flight. And I thought to myself, here are people that, because of the people they are associating themselves with every day,
And
President of the United States is always going to be somebody who's at the top of the line security risk. They are following him, asking him tough things, and putting themselves in line of fire, not only from the president, but from other extraneous forces. They are beyond gritty. They are from major news networks all across the country, our wire services, our AP News, our Reuters. All the major newspapers are a part of that, like the New York Times, the Washington Post, the radio. They are taking on more alternative types of platforms to get the word out. And we know that our president has different channels that he likes to talk on. So I think that these people who are trying to represent the American people are gritty and deserving of this.
I couldn't agree more. And you don't really think that they're putting themselves on the front lines. But in that situation where there's so many movies that show our president and his top people, his chief of staff and whoever is in the top 5 getting ushered off to a safe room somewhere. And these people would not have been in the safety zone if the threat actually manifested and that plane went down.
There would have been no safety zone. I think the only thing they noticed that was not normal protocol to shut windows when they were on board. They never knew that the president wasn't on board, and a couple of his staff had got off. I think there were 5 people in total that were shuttled off of the flight and then met up with them in the UK. But there are so many things that happen in the back story that you don't hear as the American public.
There's always corruption, and there's always somebody that's on the inside that could be leaking information. That's in every movie too. They probably have to keep it very tight to the fold because you just don't know if there's someone playing both sides.
Yeah, but freedom of the press is what we want, and we want to continue that. And we appreciate all of the liberties that they give up by doing their job every single day.
Hallelujah. I hear you.
And from there, we have a musically encapsulating song.
This artist that I am spotlighting today, I'm actually going to see tomorrow in New York City. And I'm so excited about it because it's an artist I can listen to everything from front to back. And she's so conversational and her music is deep and real. And I think I probably mentioned this once before when my father passed away and I was in my house having to clean it out so that I could make it my home with my children. I listened to this album from front to back for days on end, and it was exactly what I needed. So this lyric is, how can you get close to someone you keep out of reach? Where does that leave me? Because you don't make it easy. Now I won't close up. I can't tell if you need me or want me all that much. Did I misread completely every single touch? Do you even see me? Now I'm more than a voice on the phone. Now I'm here and we're finally alone. Why do we feel so distant? You're treating me like I'm one of the rest. I feel stupid for wearing that dress. Yes, I guess I saw something that you didn't. I think we've all felt this way at some point, whether it was back when we were young, waiting for the phone to ring and hoping that it was going to ring, or just liking somebody so much and feeling like they didn't see you, or you could go in so many different directions. But this song just hit home because that's what it does. I was home. I was packing up my house. I was going through memories of high school and middle school and elementary school. And I just remember feeling a connection with somebody and it wasn't reciprocated. And I did everything I could to try to have them pick me. And sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Okay. And that song, for people that don't know it, is?
Well, it's Olivia Dean and it's called Close Up. And it's one of so many songs that are brilliant, but this one just makes me go back and think about, I want to be seen. Why can't you see me?
Don't we all? We all want to be seen. And I think that's a beautiful lyric. And I don't know her music enough, but I definitely need to. And that reminds me, what you said in that is that we bring a song to you each week, but don't forget, and I'm reminding myself of this as I'm talking to you, listen to an album front to back again.
Oh, yeah.
Because the artist is giving it to you in the way that they designed it. They painted a picture that they want you to take in. So take Olivia Dean's album, because if it hit Farley like that, I'm sure it'll hit me in a similar way.
And that song comes from The Art of Loving, which would make sense because I was listening to the album from front to back. We used to do that because you didn't have the luxury of just picking one song out and not listening to the rest of the incredible music that they've written and the artistry that it took to put together a whole entire album.
Well, and you bought the album.
Yeah.
You had to buy the album, unless they released it as a single, which oftentimes they didn't.
And
they wanted you to buy the album.
Were like the obscure ones that didn't even become popular. So
Sure.
It's a very good idea to go and listen to albums from front to back, because you might find your favorite song that is not highlighted and didn't become a top hit.
Yeah. And that's what we want to do. We want to dig deeper into everything in life and explore the things that are unexplored and have conversations that are tough and gritty and
have an opinion.
Yes.
Whether you agree or you disagree, have an opinion. It's so important to be able to have a conversation and to take a stance and stand behind your belief system and use your voice.
We'd love to hear your voice on topics and ideas or things that you loved or things that you hated. We'd love your feedback. Like, follow, share, and subscribe to our podcast. We are growing like crazy. We're going to be attending a great event next month where we're going to be with other creators at the podcast movement. So we've got good opportunities happening for us, but we need you to go to the next level. And we appreciate your support always.
And we look forward to connecting with you again next Thursday.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Girls Gone Gritty.
Visit us on Instagram, Facebook, and now TikTok.
If this episode hits home, share it with someone who needs to get gritty.
Own it and put the it in grit.
See you next episode.